right? Which nothing wrong with cranberries. However, they have 26 grams of added sugar, which is 50% of the daily value of recommended sugar that you're supposed to have in one little thing of cranberries. We're not talking about if they drank a soda. We're not talking about what they ate for breakfast. We're at lunchtime and they've already consumed 50% of the total sugar they're supposed to consume. Now, compound that over 365 days. We're not even getting on how much sugar they're consuming at home.
Now, what are you claiming is the effects of this sugar consumption right now?
Glad you asked. I'm very glad you asked. Sugar affects the brain, and it is keeping our kids from being able to learn. They're having withdrawals. They're having crashes. Think of it as an addiction. Think of sugar as an addiction. So we can appease them, right? Because they'll do things for the sugar. If you say, I got candy, if you sit down, they'll sit down. Because they're addicted to the sugar. That's the driving force. We have to wean them off of the sugar so that they can start to learn. We're going to know first, we already know that and all the things are right there, right? We know that sugar gets you a sugar high, right? Then you have a crash, right? We're watching these things and then we call it bipolar. We call it schizophrenic or whatever. The kids be looking at me like, Mr. Nevin, I can see that there's really some type of chemical thing wrong. For real.
So, okay. I remember when I was in high school, I remember elementary school, everything, right? We would go to all throughout the hallways and stuff, vending machines, right? Fruitopia was a big popular drink back then. Honey buns, sour straws, them little sour straws. I forget what they called now. But you remember they were shaped like straws, and just loaded with sugar. It was nothing but just sugar on a straw.
Yes.
And there was never a regulating factor around it, right? And sugar, dopamine hits, right? When I go to high schools now, they regulate one source of dopamine, which is the cell phone.
Okay.
They now at one of the high schools I visited recently, when you go there, you have to turn your phone into this little pouch and they don't have access to it because they've recognized the addictive, appeal of the cell phone and social media. So if they can do it for the phone, what's gonna stop them from doing it? Why is it easy to do for the phone, but not easy to do for foods? Like, what is the counter argument to yours?
I don't know.
What are they gonna say? No, because the chances are most times it's monetary, right? Those vending machines help pay for stuff for the school. I know for a fact the chocolate chip cookies, the honey buns, all that stuff was sold by the school. It wasn't, just a local candy lady that they allowed to come to the cafeteria and sell. No, the school was selling it, and the school was using the funds for other things, whatever those small things might be, big or small, whatever they were. But they was making some good money because you got a captured audience, So every time you seek to remove a income stream, you can't remove it. You have to replace it, and you almost have to try to replace it with something better. So what's the better solution because otherwise, yeah, anything where you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, I know you've been making money, but you're gonna have to stop because it's morally wrong."
Right.
That's not gonna work, you know, because they'll justify how it justifies it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to have a better idea than the one that they currently subscribe to. Pretty much, that's how it seems.
I feel like I'm going towards like fruit, the fruit that's there. Maybe like maybe we just gotta go to like just pivot away from added sugars. Like maybe that's what I attack, right? Like I don't have no problem with you eating the fruit snacks. That was actually a great choice, right? Dried cranberries, but those added sugars, it made it candy.
So do you want to hold schools to a higher standard than maybe the FDA?
No. Well, maybe because I mean, yeah.
Who regulates what is allowed to be consumed in schools?
No, bro. Forget that. Forget that. I mean, the school board. That's what I'm hoping, right? That's what I'm thinking. The school board would tell you, yeah, we're having this, or no, we're not having that, right? Or yes, we're doing this, right? But I'm thinking that the FDA, like what I'm saying is that the FDA regulations, by the FDA's regulations, they're not even adhering to the FDA regulations. Because I just told you they gave you 50% of the daily value of sugar that you're supposed to have throughout your whole entire day. They gave it to you in 30 minutes at lunch in a little package. It's not like you've consumed your lunch, you've consumed all your lunch, and now you've had 50% of the sugar you're supposed to have for the day. That would be about right, right?
Yeah.
But no, just in this little pouch that you're going to eat after you eat your lunch, where you should be getting all the nutritional value that you're getting, right? Mm-hmm. Including the sugars. But no, we're giving you 50% of the sugar that you're supposed to have throughout the whole day in this little pouch right now. So now when you go home and drink a soda, you're over the limit. So now let's ask the question, what does the FDA say when you're over the limit of sugar for the day? And then times that by every day that these kids are in school, and then probably at home because they're addicted to it. Now, right. What is that?
So you gotta, yeah. I mean, the thing about it is, your issue is a valid issue, right? The question becomes approach and execution. What is the solution? And then, is school the actual problem? Because how much sugar would these kids be consuming if they didn't go to school at all? It becomes a bigger question to where being on the school board and trying to change the policies while in school is going to be a struggle, because number one, they use that money. And number two, you can't prove that anything's wrong with the fact that they allowed these things to be consumed at school, because it may be worse if they was doing it outside of school. Right?
They might be consuming more sugar.
Yeah, if they weren't in school. Like, so now you're telling me that I have access to a kitchen all the time. So it becomes a question that's bigger than just school. School is just a microcosm of society. At that, in this conversation, in the issue that you're illustrating, school is just a microcosm. You would have to change the minds of the people outside of school in order to be able to change what happens in the school. Because right now, all of society's okay with what's happening in the school. In this regard,
in the food, yeah. And bro, this is the thing. When I go to start fighting the sugar, I'm like, this ain't the thing that's going to get me the votes, you know? This ain't the thing that's going to get me the votes. People ain't going to be like, yeah, he's concerned about nutrition and he thinks that sugar is eating my kid's brain. Let me go ahead and vote for him. That's not going to be it. it's going to be like, yeah, he want to raise teacher salaries, or he want smaller class sizes, or he want graduation rates. You know, like,
Meaning those are the things that'll get you votes.
those are the things that are going to get me votes. It's
Do
not
you want
necessarily.
those things too?
Do I support those things? Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well,
But I will say,
well, that means that that's your talking point then, right? You got to
I
start
said
with what.
with what gets the people.
Yeah,
gets them going.
go with what is for the people, but also, let them know that it's multi-tiered, it's multi-layered, and to support these things and not this one is contradictory to the goal. Like, we want smaller class sizes so kids can get better attention and care while they're trying to learn. We also are going to need less sugar so that kid, when they do get the attention they deserve and require, they can actually reciprocate that that attention. Because otherwise, so it's multiple ingredients to this cake, but you definitely lead with sugar before you give them the medicine.
Take the sugar before you take the sugar.
Yeah, whatever, however you want to do it. Whatever you want to call it.
Like, if I said I want to improve school lunch, right? Like, if I say that, then that will get the votes, right? Which is what I want to do. I do want to improve school lunch.
The quality of it.
I want to improve the quality of school lunch. Yes. And I
raise
want
the standard of it.
Yes. Now, another point that you were like, when you can't prove that this or that or whatever. When we compare our kids, right, we'll be like, oh, little Asian kids are doing this or that, right? We do that. Little Asian kids, they know how to add. Little Asian kids, they know how to do this.
Look at what they're doing in kindergarten. Look at what they're doing during gym. Yeah.
Yes.
During PE.
Look at how focused they are. Now, let's ask the question, brother. What does their dietary standards look like? How many grams of sugar are they recommended to have during the day, right? Even by our FDA standards, we are like we're allowing ourselves 6 times as much sugar as Japan.
I mean, that is the case in a lot of regards. That's also what's happening when it comes to the consumption of social media, right? They say that the American algorithm gives us way more bullshit than it does useful, educational, intelligent content, right? Whereas in Asia, that's not the case. Asian TikTok versus American TikTok, 2 different things, according to them, And so once again, it goes back to a societal standard that has penetrated the school system. The society as a whole has a zero tolerance for BS, whether it's food, what they consume, how they manage their time, what they consume on social media, how they cook, where they source their food from. The standards are just generally higher. And that's in a lot of other countries. Right. There's a lot of countries where the exact same product, their government doesn't allow said ingredients in their version versus ours, i.e. cereals, right? Like red number 4 and stuff like that might not even be allowed in food in Germany, Switzerland or something. But here it's cool. And, 100 years from now, they're going to say those crazy old Americans, they had Wi-Fi and internet, but they didn't know that red number 5 contributed to Alzheimer's, or something crazy.
Yo, I really think that because, bro, I'm telling you, these kids have something chemically going on. It's chemical, bro. I cannot think that there's that big of a gap in intelligence. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
That's all I can say. I can't believe it. No.
I'm not gonna say who said this to me. All I'm gonna say is that I know someone who has kids. And this person was explaining to me how simply because it seems like the child wants to kill itself, the stuff that it does is so stupid.
Yeah.
The person said, I'm gonna be honest with you, kids are just stupid. They just don't know. They be about to kill themselves every other second of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I understand, like, as an adult, watching what they're doing is like, boy, what are y'all? Oh, y'all crazy. Something chemically off with y'all, like, for real. But maybe it is part of brain development too, right? But no matter what, no matter how you cut it,
You know what?
I do think that society influence is going to make it make sense or not. Because I'm sure that, you know, a 5-year-old Japanese kid versus a 5-year-old American kid, there's going to be a certain cognitive gap that you have to ask why. Where did it come from? Is it diet? Is it chemo? You know, like, what's going on? Why is this Japanese kid able to disassemble a, 9mm and put it back together, but you can't put the blue circle through the blue hole, you know?
Okay, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro.